Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a Monday, December 23rd edition of Establish Run's NBA Injury Analysis Show. I am Mark Dankenbring, back at home in Cincinnati for the holidays. So, a little bit of a new setup here, joined by Mike Gallagher, as always. And we're going to need Mike's encyclopedia brain tonight, as 28 of 30 teams are on the slate before Christmas Eve tomorrow. No games. And then, obviously, 5 games on Christmas Day. So, Mike, how you feeling? Are your fingers tired after writing matchups for 2018s? How you doing over there?
Oh, I wrote matchups pretty short yesterday, just hanging around because I knew I was in for a long day today. Woke up super early today, went hiking, and then just been working on minutes. Not even done with all of them because like the whole league's playing except for 2 teams. So yeah, pretty crazy day. Been listening to. Have you seen that like Walmart commercial with Busta Rhymes? Like I actually really like Busta Rhymes. So listening to a lot of Busta Rhymes this morning. It's been getting me
Nice.
amped up, man. Like Busta Rhymes giving me a lot of energy this morning. So feeling pretty good. Shout out Flip Mode Squad. We'll talk a little about Kyle Filipowski a little bit later.
Awesome. Yeah, got to get inspired on days like this to keep chugging. Every team but the Pelicans and Kings are playing tonight, so let's get right into it and hopefully get out of here in around an hour. But let's start in Orlando, where the Boston Celtics are heading to face the Orlando Magic, who are down several key contributors. But let's start on the Celtics side. Listed questionable here is Sam Hauser with back spasms. He's missed the last 2 games. Any potential update on Sam Hauser and his potential return tonight?
Yeah, decent chance he was close last time, so I think he might be back. So I don't really have too much to add besides that. Obviously, if he did return, that would cut out the double big. We saw a lot of double big lineups last game, which actually we'll talk about the Bulls a little bit later. But some interesting stuff happened there. But yeah, Celtics obviously really bounced back. They got beat by the Bulls and then really responded, killed them on the boards, which again we'll talk about with the Bulls side. But yeah, I think Hauser will be back. But they might just hold him out. That way he's ready for Christmas. So, and it doesn't really matter much. Like the guys are going to pretty much play their minutes. It would cut into Pritchard a little bit. Should also note that the G League guys are with them this time. So Pritchard, who did play garbage time last game, should not get it this time. So I think there's garbage time coming. I actually bet this game. We'll talk about Orlando in a second. But Pritchard not getting garbage time does take a little layer of his upside off.
Sounds good. Yeah, kind of an interesting game here for the Celtics as they'll play at home on Wednesday on Christmas Day. So their G Leaguers are listed available here. As you mentioned, they have 4 G Leaguers listed available. So if there is garbage time, it's likely to go to them rather than Peyton Pritchard, who we've seen get in the low 30s, a lot this season in blowouts. So something to note for DFS and any prop bets you may have if you're leaning on the overs or unders. Let's go to the Magic side, where listed out Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner with those torn right obliques, Garrett Harris out with a hamstring, and then Mo Wagner out as well with a torn ACL. So add Mo to the list here. We also have Jalen Suggs listed questionable with his ankle sprain. He missed the last game. We saw Anthony Black start, but was pulled early in the third quarter after he picked up his 5th foul about 30 seconds to a minute into that second half. And then Cole Anthony pretty much played the rest of the game. So do you think Anthony Black is in line to start if Suggs is out? What do you think about Jalen Suggs' status? What's going on here with the Magic?
Yeah, Suggs went through shoot around, didn't go like full on shoot around. So there's still a chance he misses. Obviously, his ankle was pretty legit last week, and we thought he would miss this game that's on the screen, but he was actually not listed, got the Q tag, and then out. Again, pretty legit ankle sprain. He's a pretty tough cookie, so he's probably playing, but will be limited. Really bad matchup for him. A, because he's gonna have to guard, and B, he's hurt. And offensively, he has some tough stuff on his side. So a lot of things working against Suggs here. The other injuries too. Mo Wagner out for the season, ACL tear, horrible injury.
Mm-hmm.
Just you knew it was bad right away. So he's out, and this team that was so deep at center is suddenly not deep. We've seen them, kind of use their size to just go big. We've seen routinely they've been running this Wendell Carter Jr., Goga Batadze. Goga has been fantastic, one of the best, fringy, almost out of rotation players to start the season. Has just full on earned this role. I mean, we were like, what, in the offseason, we were like, why are they even signing Goga? Like, now they need him. So,
Yeah.
Goga's obviously locked and loaded, pretty big minutes upside there. But the question is, Jonathan Isaac hasn't been really playing 20 minutes. Do you, in considering the matchup, do you pull out Wendell, make him like a backup big, and then put in Anthony Black? I guess it'll be Anthony Black in like a kind of a wingier, guardier based lineup. I think that's on the table. I still think they would go this way. We've heard Jamal Mosley say that they've been like, they'll just play big and then have to deal with it. But that's a little bit different now that you don't have Mo Wagner. Like Mo Wagner's loss is a really, really big one. Part of the reason why I'm on Boston minus 10.5. So I think they start the same, but I wouldn't be surprised if they shift things around. Should also know this was a crazy, crazy comeback. 99% chance for the Heat to win, 20 something point lead, and then 38-7 in the fourth quarter. I actually
Wow.
I had Magic minus 2.5. I bet against Miami 2 days in a row, and I won them both. Miracle, Christmas miracles. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Cole Anthony, insane. And I was thinking, if I was gonna write matchups, he like took Tyler Hero's like drop killer power, like Mega Man, just like totally killed the Miami drop they were running on him, and it was just so good. 35 points. After the game, Jamal Mosley said that Cole will tell you he wasn't playing well earlier this year, and he's kind of earned a bigger role going forward. So I think Cole's in there, regardless, and then we'll see what happens with the Kojo, who came out of nowhere. Trevelin Queen was really good, plus 27. I mean, he's probably one of the
That's
best
wild.
sleepers. It's on cleaning the glass that filters out, the garbage time there. So yeah, again, a little bit in flux, but wouldn't be surprised if we have a curveball here. It's because that Mo Wagner loss in the second unit is a colossal one.
Yeah, sounds good. And I do think they'll probably put Wendell Carter Jr. back as the backup five, just given that's how they started the season. That's been his traditional position throughout his career. He was pretty much playing power forward for the first time, the last month or so with the Magic, since Paolo went down. And then, since Anthony Black is a guard, he's still, 6'7", 6'8", can kind of guard more on the wing and potentially up positionally. So I like your thoughts there on him getting into the starting lineup, and then, using Isaac off the bench since there's still limitations and wanting to keep him healthy for the rest of the season. So like all those thoughts there, but man, the Magic, our Magic here at ETR, we've been on their overs last couple of years and on the playoffs on Jamal Mosley to be coach of the year. So hopefully, they can overcome these injuries, but certainly a brutal stretch for them right now. Let's head to Charlotte, where the Hornets are playing host to the Houston Rockets. Charlotte is 7-point underdogs here. The Rockets will be without Tari Eason, who's listed with that left lower leg management. Obviously, a pretty concerning tag here, since this is what he missed pretty much the majority of last season with, and then he came back after that like week-long break with this listing, has missed the last few games. So don't love to see this from Tari Eason. What's your read on that situation? Who do you expect to pick up minutes here for the Rockets tonight in Charlotte?
Yeah, not great, right? Like we saw this leg thing the end of the season. He's been playing freaking awesome. We saw him had that career high game last month, whatever, and the minutes have been pretty consistently high 20s. And then all of a sudden, I was like, hey, he sat the back-to-back couple games, non-back-to-back couple games ago, out today. So injury management tag, you would have thought that it's like, okay, sit him on the front end, play him on the back end, but no, automatic rule out here. Pretty concerning stuff. Considering the nature of the injury and how he's had the surgery last year, the end of the season. So yeah, pretty unclear when he's back. To the second question, man, Jayshawn Tate probably had the biggest play of the game last night, had a strip and knocked it off a guy's foot to basically ice the game as the Raptors were down 3 with the ball on the side, and they could have tied it with a 3. So I think Jayshawn Tate's earned some minutes. And then also the other big note was Cam Whitmore came out of nowhere. They called him up from the G League last week. Weren't playing him, but they did play him last game. He had a sick dunk. Alfred Şengün threw him an alley-oop way behind his head. The best alley-oop highlights are the bad passes, right? Where the guys like go back and get it and then jam it. Really sick. You could find it on Twitter or YouTube. It was pretty sick dunk. So shout out Cam Whitmore. So I expect those guys to continue to play, especially in the back-to-back. Should also note they called up a couple of G League guys. The Rio Grande Valley Vipers are off until Friday, and they just finished up their Orlando G League showcase this weekend. So maybe they're just bringing with the team on a short travel from Orlando to Charlotte, or maybe there's something to it. I don't know. Just wanted to note that. But yeah, Fred VanVleet did not have the revenge game last night, except for rebounds and assists, much to our chagrin, with the under there. But yeah, Jabari Smith's minutes are very secure. Dylan Brooks, he had a homecoming game. He said he had like 100 people with him last night for the Toronto game, Canadian guy. He was fantastic. So yeah, those guys are secure. Şengün's minutes have been great. Ahmed Thomas minutes haven't come up, actually, which is a little bit odd. But we just took over on him. Feel like his minutes are pretty secure overall. So, yeah, expect those guys to come up. Reed Shepherd got an early sub in this game, but didn't get it later. They really went away from him to get more size because Jayshawn Tate came out with a lot of energy. So, Reed could get cut yet again.
Yeah, and this is the second night of a back-to-back, and you see here that all the Rocket starters pretty much got mid to upper 30s minutes there. So maybe we do see a little more bench involvement on the second night of a back-to-back in Charlotte. I was a little surprised to see Charlotte only 7-point underdogs here, but I guess that makes sense kind of with the travel and down Tari. But and then also if Cam Whitmore does continue to be in the rotation off the bench, you see 10 shots in 14 minutes there. We know his primary role when he's on the floor is to get shots up. So that could impact the second unit a little bit there as well. Will be interesting to see if Amen Thompson's minutes do come up, if the starters come down at all. As you mentioned, we took a little over there in props recently. So hopefully a good game from him. Let's head over to the Hornets side.
I'll just say really quick.
Sure.
I thought Cam was awesome. Not just the dunks and he was good defensively. Like he wasn't out of place. Udoka talked about that. It was a really good game from Cam Whitmore. Maybe he can kind of parlay this into a bigger game.
Cool. Yeah, let's go to the Hornets side where Brandon Miller is out with left ankle sprain, Trey Mann out with a back injury, and Grant Williams out as well with the ACL tear. They do have listed KJ Simpson and Nick Smith Jr. available with G League tags, so potentially some garbage time there if it does get to that point. But what's going on here with the Hornets? They're now without Brandon Miller. LaMelo Ball is back. We've seen kind of periods of the season without Miles Bridges and LaMelo, and now without Brandon Miller. So what's going on here with the Hornets?
Yeah, not great. I mean, I thought Miller might be back given his youth and given how they've been off since Friday, but not great getting out tag there. Ankle injury didn't look that bad. Like he hurt it once and then hurt it again. And it was somewhat downplayed by Charles Lee, but obviously he's not responding. So the question would be, as usual, who starts? Obviously, LaMelo will be back. He rested this game on a back-to-back, so he'll be back. And the minutes are pretty full. So expect LaMelo to have a pretty big role in a horrendous matchup. But the matchup's not that bad because the Rockets take away a lot of catch and shoot and transition. So it might be a LaMelo 32 shot game again. So expecting the starting lineup to be LaMelo, Josh Green, Mark Williams should be back in the starting lineup, Miles Bridges, and I think Cody Martin starts again. His minutes did get cut a pretty good bit because Jaquan Jeffries was really good off the bench. So expect those guys to start. Vasa Micic should pick up the non-mellows, but maybe not. They did call up KJ Simpson as well. I think Vasa gets the non-mellows. Got talked up after the game, played pretty well overall, scored 20 points. So those guys will be the kind of core bench pieces. Obviously, Nick Richards will be a pretty big piece off the bench there. And then Tajay Saloon would also be a pretty big piece. But yeah, got some depth. But you'll notice I didn't say Seth Curry. Seth Curry started a couple games ago, the first game that Brandon Miller missed that had LaMelo in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think he's done enough. So he might be out of the rotation from starting to like barely playing to like possibly out of the rotation.
Sounds good. All right, let's head to Philadelphia where the 76ers are 6-point home favorites against the San Antonio Spurs. On the Spurs side, just listed out our 3 G Leaguers. So a pretty healthy version of the Spurs here. We've seen Devin Vassell get into the starting lineup there and Stephen Castle go to the bench. Do you expect that to continue tonight for San Antonio, and any other news and notes now that they have a full squad?
Yeah, though the news and notes stuff would be their defense. They've been playing great basketball lately. So we'll see if that could kind of continue. If it was a bit small sample size, they did have a pretty soft schedule. So I feel pretty good that 4 of the starters are locked in: Chris Paul, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, and Victor Wembanyama. Harrison Barnes has been bulletproof to this point, but like, can we start Stephon Castle here? You need another wing defender. I think it's way cleaner to put Castle on Maxey and then Sohan on PG. I think that's way cleaner. I don't think they're going to do it, but just want to note that could be on the table. Harrison Barnes' minutes have really started to come down there. And then also, obviously, Julian Champagne's minutes are coming way down. Keldon's minutes don't really have a ceiling. Trey Jones, at best, will get the non-CP3s. He probably won't, as they've just had too many bodies here. But yeah, they've been playing great. Let me get some of my notes from matchups. I don't remember all my notes because like there's so many of them.
So much.
They've been 50th percentile plus in 6 of their last 7 games. So their offense has been pretty good. So their offense has been hot and their defense has been pretty solid as well. So yeah, Spurs are clicking. They're in the hunt, 15-13. So tough to parse through minutes, but they're stealing here. Vassell's been playing a little hot and cold. He had a big game 2 games ago, but expect Vassell to start taking off offensively. And I like this matchup for him too.
Do you think Victor Wembanyama will guard Joel Embiid tonight?
Mm-hmm.
That'll be an interesting matchup. And obviously Wemby coming off the 10-block game, matching up with, one of the league's best scorers and Embiid. That'll be appointment viewing for sure tonight. So on the 76er side, Joel Embiid is listed available with that sinus fracture. He kind of played 2 games ago, missed last game against Cleveland, now back against the Spurs. Listed out Eric Gordon, who underwent mouth surgery, and then Jared McCain with that meniscus tear. Tyrese Maxey is probable here with an illness. And then Ricky Council, the fourth, is questionable with right knee soreness. We're always skeptical of the 76ers here. Is this Tyrese Maxey illness tag more of, do you believe the probable? Do you think it's more questionable? Any lean there on Tyrese Maxey? And then you can kind of get into the 76ers now that Embiid and Paul George are back.
Yeah, probable illness tags are always a concern there. So definitely think, definitely heads up there. And then as Keith noted, Wemby did give up 70 to Embiid last year. So I think there's something to that there. I noted that in matchups as well. So yeah, and they did guard each other. It wasn't. We see a lot of teams like the Blazers, for instance, love putting Jeremy Grant on Wemby, Dylan Brooks on Wemby. That's a pretty common strategy. We'll see if that changes now that Embiid's dealing with some health issues. But definitely interesting to see how they handle that. If they want to I don't know if they want to do that. So maybe they start. They don't have a lot of size though, right? Like I don't think you want to put Drummond on him. You're obviously not starting him next to Embiid. So something to watch there. They are getting Caleb Martin back here. That could squeeze things a little bit. We'll see if Drummond or Gerson Yabusele, who's been playing a little bit poor lately, could get squeezed a little bit there. And then also should note Kyle Lowry's minutes were cut in the last game. After the game, Nick Nurse said it was just back-to-back there. So yeah, just we'll see that probable tag. He's probably playing, but again, just be careful. Don't go betting into Paul George unders or anything until we get some clarity on that illness tag there.
Yeah, and Philly does play on Christmas at Boston, so maybe if it's 50-50 and they could go either way, maybe Maxey leans out just to make sure he's 100% for that Wednesday game. But always tough to tell here with Philly for sure. All right, anything else here before we move on to Cleveland?
Nope, we got plenty to get to.
Sweet, yeah. All right, the Utah Jazz are heading into Cleveland. Cavs are 14-point favorites here. A lot of big spreads on this game. I think 5 or 6 double-digit spreads on tonight's slate, so something to be aware of if you're playing DFS. But let's start on the Jazz side here. Taylor Hendricks remains out. Oscar Tshiebwe and David Jones-Garcia out with G League tags. Listed doubtful here is John Collins and Keontae George. So we do not expect them to play tonight. And then available are a couple G League tags with Kyle Filipowski and Cody Williams. And then Colin Sexton, once again, listed available here with that finger fracture. What are the news and notes on the Jazz tonight as they head to Cleveland?
Yeah, this is a bit of a tricky one. Obviously, the starting situation is a little tough to parse through. Like they started Colin Sexton, and he was very good. 5 assists, 12 potential assists. We had an over on him that was a really good bet by us. Shout out to us. So expect him to start for sure. Obviously, like there's 3 starting lineups that are locked. Obviously, Walker Kessler, Lloyd Marketing, and Colin Sexton. Svi Mykhailiuk surprisingly started the last game, didn't close, probably not playing a lot of minutes. And then now they did call up their G League guys. They have Cody Williams. They have Kyle Filipowski. So they could, and they have Isaiah Collier. And it should note, they called up Isaiah Collier by himself. They basically sent him a 1-person ticket to Brooklyn to fill in the minutes for Keontae George. Now they're bringing in Kyle Filipowski, shout out Flip Mode Squad, and Cody Williams. So this is a bit tricky. There's a lot of ways this can go. And the next question is Kyle Filipowski. If you're an avid watcher of the show, I talked about how his minutes were capped with the SLC Stars. They're coming up now. He played 19 2 games ago and then 23 his last game off the bench. So they don't want to play Kyle Filipowski a bunch of minutes, but 23 minutes is a big step from where he was playing like 13, 14. So I think Kyle Filipowski starts. You need the size. I don't know if they want to start Micah Potter. So I'm leaning Filipowski and Svi Mykhailiuk starting. Not confident in either. I could definitely see them going back to Isaiah Collier. Maybe they want to have him guard. I think they maybe want another guard on ball defender. They kind of like his defense. I don't know if they should. So I don't know. I kind of think they may go back to Collier here after going with Svi Mykhailiuk out of the blue in the last game. So that, just to kind of sum up how this could look, Sexton and Collier cover the point guard minutes. Svi, if he starts, and Sexton and Clarkson will be the 2, and then Laurie, maybe Svi, maybe Bryce Sensabaugh, Johnny Juzang's minutes got cut. Maybe Cody Williams comes in there, Filipowski, Micah Potter, and then Walker Kessler and Drew Eubanks. That's kind of the iterations of the rotation. Definitely messy. A lot of names I threw out there. It could go 10 or they could go like 12. So again, one of the trickiest spots of the day to figure out where this rotation is going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And, a big spread in Cleveland. It's going to be tough to feel confident about any Jazz players tonight in DFS or in props, just given all the players they have available. And we know Will Hardy likes to mix and match things up quite a bit. So let's go over to the Cavs side here. Amani Bates and Luke Travers listed out with G League tags. Questionable is Dean Wade with right knee soreness, and then Sam Merrill with a left quad contusion. Max Strus is available tonight, not listed on the injury report, so he should play after playing 2 games ago and then sitting out the last game. Let's start with Dean Wade here, who's questionable with that right knee soreness. What do you expect out of him tonight if he's available? Do you think he'll start? What's going on kind of with the Cavs?
Yeah, this knee thing is a history. He had some knee soreness last year, cost some time, and then a couple times. So this is his 3rd time he's popped up with injury report for a knee thing. Nothing serious. Like, he was fine. Atkinson didn't say anything about him. So it may just be like, hey, let's get you a game off to get you some rest here. So yeah, I feel like he's going to play, but not sure. And then the Sam Merrill thing, he's been listed. He was he wasn't feeling it, according to Atkinson. We saw his minutes come down and checked out after the game. So he's a little banged up. They might hold him out. Was also playing through some stuff here. So they might sit him out. He's definitely more at risk to play or to miss than Dean Wade is. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Their bench was just crushing, man. I mean, look at Karis LeVert plus 36. Kenny Atkinson said it was an electroshock to have Karis out there to put pressure on opponents. Kenny Atkinson's a fun listen, by the way. One of my favorite pressers to listen to. But yeah, everything else is pretty much good to go. This team is absolutely crushing. 25-4. They're awesome. So yeah, don't really have much to add. They're playing great ball, first in offense. They're legit.
Yeah, absolutely love to see it. Shout out Cavs. I did gloss over that Isaac Okoro also listed out here. So if Dean Wade were to be out, we could probably see either George Niang or Karis LeVert enter the starting lineup. I don't think Max Strus would start at this point. You know, we've kind of talked about on previous shows. It'll probably be a gradual ramp up for him. Do you still feel that same way?
Yeah, let me note. That's my bad. I forgot to note. Yeah, he did return and had a 20 cap. He would have hit that, but they were, as they tend to do, they blew out their Friday opponents and then didn't play on the back-to-back as expected. So yeah, it could be a 24-minute cap. It depends. He could start here if Dean Wade doesn't go. And man, he was great in the second half. I should note they were just firing. So yeah, I think Karis starts, but they could go Max and just kind of integrate him there, especially if Wade can't play. So I don't really have a take, but I could definitely see Max, if not Max, probably Karis starting.
Awesome. Let's go from Cleveland, take our talents down to South Beach, Miami, where the Heat are hosting the Brooklyn Nets. The Heat are 10.5-point favorites here. On the Nets side, a lot of out tags with Bojan Bogdanovic, Anthony Melton, Cam Thomas, Trendon Watford, Zaire Williams, and Dorian Finney-Smith. Listed available as Dariq Whitehead and Jalen Martin with G League tags. So, obviously without all those out tags, a lot of key rotation pieces there for the Nets. We have these 2 G Leaguers called up. So is it Ben Simmons music in Brooklyn? What's going on here with the Nets? Who do you expect to start? And do we think like these G League tags and Dariq Whitehead and Jalen Martin have a chance to get in the rotation tonight?
They could. I don't think they're gonna be. I think it's just like, hey, I don't know what the travel was. I didn't check. I didn't have enough time, but I'm not really reading into that yet. Obviously, no Dorian Finney-Smith does open things up there, and they could add 10. Dariq Whitehead was playing pretty well. Had that big game against Chicago, 3 weeks ago. It's all times a blur at this time of year. But yeah, expecting the same starting lineup here: Ben Simmons, Keon Johnson, Nick Claxton, whose minutes got cut in the fourth. They gave up a really bad run to start the fourth quarter, and he got taken out of the game. It wasn't put back in, even though the Nets are kind of hanging around. Man, it's been kind of tough. We had an over on Claxton that it looked like it was going to be okay, but didn't have it there. But yeah, expect Noah Clowney to start again. Been playing okay. He's been trending up. Had that big game 2 games ago, at least from a minutes perspective, when Claxton got ejected. So expect him to start again, and then Cam Johnson obviously starting and playing a ton. And yeah, the Jazz like really, really kind of made them uncomfortable offensively. Like if you could only score 94 points against the Jazz, that's a pretty bad sign. I don't have any faith in this offense. Can't pass. They like Ben Simmons just doesn't get enough respect as a shooter. That the floor is just jammed. So I don't have a lot of faith in this team scoring points against Miami, even though Miami is struggling. We'll get to them in a second. But yeah, I mentioned the starters. Day'Ron Sharpe will get most of, if not all, the non-Claxton minutes. Jalen Wilson will play a pretty good bit. His minutes got cut a little bit in the second half. And then Shake Milton also playing a good bit. Tyrese Martin also. So that's their 9. If they did want to add in Dariq Whitehead, I could see it, but certainly nothing you could really take a stance on.
Yeah, without Dennis Schroeder, the Nets are now averaging less than 100 points per game. They scored 101 against the Cavs, 101 against the Raptors, and then 94 against the Jazz. So, as you mentioned, just really tough to find much offensive upside here for the Nets. And now they head to face a Miami team who we know, likes to slow it down and play good defense. So, pretty tough outlook here for the Nets. Let's go over to Miami side, where listed out is Josh Richardson with that right heel issue. A lot of available tags here on Josh Christopher, Keyshawn Johnson, Kevin Love, Nikola Jovic, and Pelle Larsson all listed available. They were upgrades as well, so we should see them tonight. And then listed questionable here is Jimmy Butler with a stomach illness. He did not travel to Orlando on Saturday to play that game, but this game is at home, so maybe a bit better of a chance to suit up tonight. Any read here on Jimmy Butler's status, and what are the other news and notes on the Heat?
Yeah, tough read on Jimmy. We saw him hurt his ankle a couple of games ago and then did not return. And they announced that it was an illness. So that was a surprise after tweaking his ankle. So, yeah, I think he's going to play. You would think, a couple of days off, you're over your stomach illness, but you never know. It is trade season. I'm sure people will want to speculate on that. But expect him to start, which begs the question, obviously, who starts? Because they made a big sweeping change to their starting lineup after the game. Eric Spoelstra said it was because of the matchup why Jovic started, but I think Drew Smith might have earned a job. So I don't know if they're going to continue to start him. So I think they might go back to where they were. They were kind of playing okay. I don't have any confidence in this. He said it was nothing against Haywood Highsmith for getting basically benched. He was basically out of the rotation and snuck in late in the second quarter. Rozier had a really good game. He was down quite bad, but had an outstanding first half in this game. So I think, and I'm never confident in Miami, but I think they go back to where they were: Hero, Duncan, Highsmith, Jimmy, and Bam. And then we'll see if Love comes back. She probably is. Khalil Ware was really good though, so I think there's a chance Khalil Ware may have iced Kevin Love for now. He got the post game interviews. Spoelstra talked him up. They look good. So tough scene there. And then Pelle Larsson, he played okay. Does he cut into Jaime Jaquez? Jaime Jaquez started 2 games ago, lost his job started the second half 2 games ago, and then didn't start. That's pretty much where we're at. A lot of mess. That's kind of all over the place. I don't have a lot of confidence in what this team's going to do, honestly.
Yeah, this is just a wild box score to look at. The Heat scoring 40 points in the first quarter and then 8 points in the fourth quarter to blow it. Bam Adebayo minus 35 and Khalil Ware plus 26. I mean, just an out of control box score to look at. The Heat are always throwing us curveballs and making it tough. So, we're always on starters watch there in Miami. Tonight will be no different. All right, let's head to Atlanta, where the Hawks are playing host to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Hawks are 3.5-point underdogs at home here. On the Wolves side, again, pretty clean injury report for them the last few weeks. Just listed out are Luka Garza and Joe Ingles. Questionable is Dyson Nix, but probably not in the rotation there. So anything on the Wolves, or can we head over to the Hawks?
Yeah, we could just head over to the Hawks. They've been playing really poorly. They're good. Their offense has been. I could just share some notes really quick.
Sure.
We could just because they're all good to go. I guess we're on a lot of the Wolves people I follow are talking about a lineup change, but their offense has been really bad. Let's see, they are. I can't find.
Well, yeah, and we had that quote from Anthony. Had that quote from Anthony Edwards. Yeah. That's we basically have no offensive system. It's just me and Julius out there getting shots up. So.
Yep. Yeah. And Finch said that they don't have any consistent offense. And what's crazy, their offense has been really bad. They're actually hitting threes. So it's really a testament to how poorly they've been playing. I wouldn't say it's full on starters watch, but might be. You can't win NBA games. As great as their defense has been, their offense is so bad.
Cool. All right, let's go over to the Hawks then. Listed out here, Kobe Buffkin, right shoulder, Onyeka Okongwu with that left knee inflammation, and then Cody Zeller now with the team. Questionable is Bogdan Bogdanovic, left leg contusion, Trae Young with the right heel contusion, then Mohamed Gee with G League tag. So obviously, big one here is Trae Young with that right heel contusion. What do you think about his status tonight? And then you can put that onto Bogdan as well, because if Trae Young was out and Bogdan plays, then his role would grow. So it can kind of address those two in tandem.
Yeah, Trey, we've seen this consistent probable tag, that $100K fine they got for missing the first NBA Cup game. Same injury here. I thought he had very little chance to play over this game. They might just hold him out, give him a whole week here. Did go through shoot around though, so maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. Just because you go through shoot around usually means you're playing, but wouldn't be surprised if they did hold him out there. So bit surprised they started Vít Krejci there. It didn't go great. They had some really bad turnovers, 25 turnovers in this game, careless turnovers. Quinn Snyder was not happy about that after the game. So, yeah, if he's out, and Bogdan, again, new injury, not like contusion, not really a history of this. He has a lot of like hamstrings and muscle pulls and stuff, but you can't really do much with a contusion as far as I could tell. But maybe they go back to him if Trey can't play. Obviously, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Ricochet, and all those guys would be locked in. I don't think they're going to change the lineup there. But yeah, not a great read on Trey. I think he's in just because he went to shoot around, as did Bogdan. So I think they're in. Maybe Trey's minutes are down a little bit because this injury is consistently tagging him. We saw he was struggling, about a month ago. We were talking about like his drives are down like 4 or 5 a game. His shooting off drives is down even more than that. So it's definitely a legit injury that's going to have to require rest. And Trey said it's going to linger basically all season. So maybe this is an attempt to kind of rest him up. But I expect him to play.
Sounds good. We see this Hawks bench continue to play well and take minutes from the starters. Larry Nance up to 24 there. And then DeAndre Hunter continues to cook another 26-point game for him as he is. I mean, he's just on an absolute heater this season. So maybe that continues tonight against the Wolves.
I will say Nance didn't exactly play great. We had a Scottie Pippen over that just nuked with Larry Nance out there. They scored like 20 points in like 2 minutes. It was just absolutely flame throwing from the Grizzlies when Nance got out there early.
Nice. All right, let's head to New York, where the New York Knicks will play host to the Toronto Raptors. Another matchup here of the teams that executed big trade last season. On the Raptors side, listed out remains Bruce Brown with that right knee management, Jakob Poeltl with a bilateral groin strain. So 2 groin strains going on for Poeltl. That's a tough scene. And then Emmanuel quickly remains out with that left elbow UCL tear. RJ Barrett was a late scratch last night with an illness. He is listed questionable tonight with that same illness. So is there any update on RJ last night? Do you expect him to play? Obviously, late scratch, so maybe he was in line to play and then just didn't feel up for it. But what's your read on RJ tonight, and then what's going on with the Raptors?
Yeah, how kind of the Raptors to list him questionable. We saw 2 games in a row now not listed and then gets pulled out of nowhere, which led to some beautiful stales that mostly hit. If you hit the Jacoby Walter stale at 6.5, you did okay. That cashed in 3 minutes. I bet the Scotty Barnes over 19.5 stale. That did not go well.
The 2 of 15
played.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pain. Knew that was dead. So yeah, game time decision. That's all we know there. So I don't have much to say. You would think, again, being sick for like almost a week now, you think he's back. Don't have a great read on it. If he did start, that would almost certainly, you would think, bump Jacoby Walter out and back to the bench. Should mention also, Davion Mitchell was questionable with a shoulder injury that he hurt in practice on Thursday. And he was available for this game, but did not play. Was that, hey, front and back-to-back, fake active you? Or was it, hey, we want to play Jamal Shed, who played pretty well in this game? Double-double for Jamal Shed. Guarded Fran VanVleet a bunch. I thought he was really good. Their 2 rookie guards were fantastic. So Davion might be dead now just to play these young rookies. Obviously, the Raptors have their eye on lottery balls down the stretch. So, yeah, if RJ did play, I still expect Jacoby and Shed to get minutes. That would affect Jamison Battle and Chris Boucher more than it would affect them. Should also note that Mobo's minutes were cut down quite a bit, while Kelly Olynyk's minutes went way up. He was playing mid-teens, gets all the way up to 25, early sub in the third quarter, perhaps matchup-based, but now that Kelly Olynyk is A, not listed, and B, finally played normal-ish minutes, maybe he starts. Maybe you want to get some more size out there. Mobo is listed 6'6". We saw him not very, very well against Şengün, so maybe they start Kelly Olynyk here. I think they lean Mobo, but not confident. And then Ochai Agbaji, Grady Dick, obviously will be kind of good to go. But yeah, RJ will be game time. Should also note for you, those of you stashing Emmanuel quickly, he is going through some practice. Still not contact, but he's practicing now. So, like I was saying, I think like New Year's Day is a reasonable expectation. Probably not that soon, but I think by MLK Day we could get quickly back, which again would squeeze those guards. So a good sign there. Jakob Poeltl did do some on-court work over the weekend. He was, quote, moving well according to the beats. So he's back soon, but again, not today, as he's dealing with a groin injury that, usually you miss at least a week for that.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how that center position goes going up against Karl Anthony Towns tonight. And we've talked about Kelly Olynyk saying he still had discomfort in that back. So, on the second night of a back-to-back after playing 25 minutes last night, it'll be really interesting to see what his ceiling is tonight, and his range of outcomes, I think, is pretty wide here. Maybe we see some Bruno Fernando, because as you mentioned, Jonathan Mobo is pretty undersized if he were to go up against Cat. So, a lot of push and pull here. And then, yeah, we had Davion Mitchell projected for like 21 minutes and Jamal Shed for 12 or 13, and Shed just basically took over all of those to get up to 33. So be interesting. A lot of moving pieces here in the Raptors rotation, and especially if RJ Barrett comes back, that'll add another little wrinkle. So something to pay attention to tonight in the Garden. All right, on the Knicks side here, listed out Boo Buie and then Kevin McCullough Jr. with G League tags. Mitch Robinson still out with that left ankle surgery, and then Matt Ryan is not with the team. The Knicks did sign Landry Shamet, so he is not listed on the injury report. I imagine he is available to go tonight. And then just questionable is 3 G Leaguers, Tyler Kolek, Pacome Dadier, and then Ariel Huck-Porty. So what's going on with the Knicks here? Do you think Landry Shamet gets any playing time? Do these G League questionable tags matter at all, or do you think Tibbs will just continue to play things tight? Again, this is a massive 14-point spread, so if they are available, it could potentially take some garbage time away from some of the bench guys or starters, even given the Knicks status. So what's going on here we can start with Landry Shamet and then just kind of the other news and notes on the Knicks.
Yeah, you covered the G League stuff. I won't repeat that. But yeah, Landry Shamet, who was playing great in the preseason and would have for sure under contract if not for a late preseason injury that has sidelined him for a couple months. He just started playing in the G League. He was full. He looked pretty good. I'm an expert. I watched like 30 seconds of Landry Shamet G League highlights, so I'm an expert on this. I'm an expert on this topic. But there's a chance, and we do the season projection minutes. We were pushing Shamet, I think, over Payne because he was playing that well. So Cam Payne's minutes were cut the last game, could get cut again. Like, he is probably at best playing the non-Brunsons, but at worst, like, he could get really cut down. We also saw Deuce McBride's minutes get cut, partly because, why. 45 minutes Mikal Bridges, 40 minutes Brunson, 42 Hart. There's just no minutes available. So, but yeah, not much else to add. Obviously, Cat had some foul trouble here, but Jericho Sims played great. He got shouted out by Tibbs after the game. So, yeah, feel I don't really know. Shamet will be available. Again, he's officially signed, so he probably is playing just because he was, again, cooking in the preseason. So starting lineup will be the same. Precious for sure in there. Deuce McBride still in there for sure. Then it's a matter of, like, does Jericho get in there? Does Shamet get in there? Does Payne get in there? So it's a little bit tough to kind of hone in on who that last guy is, or if they run 9, which they've been doing a little bit more often now that Jericho's back. They've got some options here.
Yeah, and we see Josh Hart there with the 42. He had missed a couple games with the ankle, been listed on the injury report, where he was held in the low 30s, and then first game back gets up to 42. So guess he is all right, no longer listed on the injury report. So that ceiling is now back intact for Josh Hart.
Was a personal injury, why he missed that one game, but he was dealing with ankle injury.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, let's go to Memphis, where the Grizzlies playing host to the LA Clippers. Grizzlies are 5.5-point home favorites here. On the Clippers side, the usual out tags for them: Kobe Brown, Trent Flowers out with a G League tag, and then Kawhi Leonard with his right knee injury, Terrence Mann with that left finger fracture, and then PJ Tucker remains not with the team. Decent big questionable tag here on Ivica Zubac, who has listed with right calf soreness. Do you have any read here on Zubac and his potential to play tonight in Memphis?
Yeah, the late Q tag, never good. He's had calf injuries in, I think it was February or January in 2022, 2023, and 2024. So he's a little early this year.
I had a schedule.
Yeah. So not great. Definitely, I think a chance he sits here. Obviously, the Clippers aren't playing on Christmas, so it gives him a chance to shut it down for a little bit. We've seen him have a wrap on his calf at times when he does play, so certainly something to monitor. Really tough. Zoo, the best ball bags are for sure heavily packed. So Zoo, take a game off. We don't want your score to count this week. Get well, and then come back and crush for us after that. If he didn't play, I think Will Bamba would get the start. Kai Jones, #GoatLife, would fill in some minutes. You got to play pretty big. So those guys would cover most of the center minutes. I would expect Nick Batum to pick up some of that time over there. as well. Other than that, I'll talk about the matchup stuff on the Memphis side. I was just doing now. So Memphis is a trap festival. They love putting two on the ball. They were top locking Steph when they played the Warriors, face guarding him, trapping like crazy. So they're going to put a lot of pressure on Harden. It's part of the reason why the Grizzlies allow I think their second most catch and shoot possessions allowed now. They've been teeter-tottering between 1 and 2. So that'll be available shots for Norm, Chris Dunn. It would have been Zoo because they would have had a lot of clean runs to the basket against Size and Zach Edey. So, yeah, pretty good spot for the role players here. Chris Dunn, my running joke is, could Chris Dunn ever get past 25 minutes because something happens? Yeah. Fouls, he's sick. Gets ejected. But he did it. He broke through. He gets 34 minutes. He could play a lot. He's going to be on the job assignment for sure. Expect that to happen. Derek Jones Jr.'s minutes have been down, returning from a hamstring. I doubt he gets in the mid-20s here. As Kevin Porter Jr. played pretty well in this game, shot a ton of like wild, true Kevin Porter Jr. shots. His minutes are probably coming down, but did play a ton off the bench. The team's mostly fluky, as they were kind of trailing and trying to gun it back, but he would play a little bit more. Again, you're replacing Zubac's minutes, and should also note, Lou likes to run Zoo with the second unit to stabilize them. So taking out that piece could really hurt their second unit. So, if Memphis is looking a little bit slow and you want to kind of get into it live, that's probably an opportunity to do so. It's just something to think about if you want to kind of, bet against. Because Zoo is a big deal, man. Like as great as Harden's been, as great as Norm has been, you take Zoo off that team, the downgrade is so big. So that's something I'd probably bet. If Zoo gets ruled out for this, I'm probably going to jump on Memphis.
Sounds good. Yeah, and the Clippers don't play until Friday. Most teams that are playing tonight play on Thursday, but the Clippers do have a few days off till their next game on Friday. So maybe that helps. But again, those late Q tags typically trend towards and out. So not great there on Zubats. All right, on the Grizzlies side, listed out remains Jay Huff, Gigi Jackson, Marcus Smart, and Vince Williams are all out. Desmond Bane is questionable tonight with an illness. Illness tags always tough to read, but do you have any lean there on Bane tonight, Mike, and any other news and notes on the Grizzlies?
Yeah, Bane should have wore a mask to kept from getting sick. Kidding, but so I don't know. It didn't go through shoot around. We know this game. If you're usually from an injury, if you don't go through shoot around, you're almost certainly not playing. But illness tags, they're like, hey, stay home and get well, and we'll see. So leaning out, we have him in projections. We'll see. Illness tags I can't really read. I don't know how well they're feeling. Yeah. If he did miss, and should note his minutes had been really held in check. And his usage was down early in this game. We had an over on him, and luckily was just making everything to help us get that. So if he did miss, there's really two candidates to start. Based on history, it would be Santi Aldama. They see sort of like that big lineup there. But man, Scottie Pippen was so good in the last game, and he's always so good whenever they call on him. Does he start, and does he maybe pick up the Harden role? He's been pretty good at pressuring the ball. They like him for full court pressure. If he doesn't start, that role would probably be going to Jalen Wells, who was guarding Steph, who's been guarding a lot of lead handlers as well. So slight lean Santi Aldama, but it definitely could be Scottie. Maybe it's Jake LaRavia, who's been playing pretty well. Should note Marcus Smart hurt his finger. Man, he can't stay in the court. Had a shoulder injury, cost him time. Finger, foot, all sorts of stuff. Marcus Smart just can't stay on the court. That's the bulk of the rotation. Other guys who would fill in a little bit more. Luke Kennard would be locked. Obviously, Brandon Clark's minutes will be pretty secure to cover most of the non-Edey center minutes. And then Jaren Jackson, who fouls a bunch. And that explains why Edey played a bit. 5 fouls from Jaren Jackson got Edey up to 27. And again, this team just smashed the Hawks. Was a pretty quick, me and the guys, we all ran to get Memphis -1 when Trey got ruled out. So nice win for Memphis. And again, same thing. If Zoo's out, I'm running to bet Memphis again.
Love it. Yeah, it's been an interesting season for Desmond Bane. His usage rate and just kind of role on the court has been the lowest since his rookie season. So interesting to see if that'll pick up throughout the rest of the year, as he's one of our favorite players at ETR for sure. Desmond Bane, always the truth. Really efficient player. So yeah. Gallagher's guy, and the voice du jour as well there for Gallagher. All right, let's head on to Chicago, where the Bulls are playing host to the Giannis-less Bucks tonight. We got that kind of before the show that Giannis is ruled out with those back spasms. He will join Damian Lillard on the bench, who is out with that right calf strain. And you kind of had a read on that as well when they're in the NBA Cup Finals. You thought Dame might be limited by the calf, and sure enough, he is out tonight and has been, the last couple games. So Bucks without Dame and Giannis tonight. Chris Middleton is listed available, and then Chris Livingston is listed questionable tonight with an illness, but certainly a lot of usage to go around. We saw Bobby Portis go nuke in the last Bucks game. What's going on here on Milwaukee's side as they head into Chicago?
Yeah, not great for Giannis. Listed with a back spasms now. So we saw him, very weird, gets that consistent knee tag every game, knee probable. And then the game he missed, 3 weeks ago, it was a calf that kept him out. And then now it's a back. So if he's healthy, they call him with a knee injury. If he's not healthy, they list him with something else and he misses time. That's the read on it. But yeah, it doesn't sound bad. Like Doc said, he was probably out on Saturday. Doesn't sound serious. He was at shoot around. I saw him getting some shots up. So it's probably a day-to-day thing. Probably going to play Christmas. I'm sorry, they don't play Christmas.
Yeah, they don't play.
That. It's so weird for them not playing Christmas. So yeah, I think they would go with the same starting lineup here. Obviously, you can't really take Bobby out. Chris Middleton got his first start. He is on a 25 minutes cap, according to Doc Rivers, who may be lying. We don't know. But he was pushing to go past that 25 early. But luckily, they had the blowout there, and they were able to come back down there. So he said he was going to start him regardless of Giannis' status. So I don't know if you want to believe him or not. So that would lead me to believe they start the same group here to bring Taurean Prince off the bench. Ryan Rollins was pretty good in this game. Doc talked him up. So I expect the same starting lineup here with mostly the same bench. AJ Green, Gary Trent, DeLon, and then Taurean Prince to be the core group. But yeah, don't have too much else besides in Dame should be back pretty soon. Like we said, he had this injury before. He's had this right calf injury for like 4 or 5 times, and it's just management, just a light strain. So maybe back after the little Christmas break coming up.
Sounds good. On the Bulls side, listed out as Adama Sanogo and DJ Stewart. With G League tags questionable is Lonzo Ball with an illness, Torrey Craig with left Achilles soreness, and then Josh Giddey with a right ankle sprain. EJ Liddell was upgraded to available. He was part of the G League tags listed out and is now available. So does that give you any indication on who might miss tonight out of those questionable tags between Lonzo, Torrey Craig, and Josh Giddey, and then any other notes tonight for the Bulls?
Yeah, Josh Giddey is targeting today to return. As you guys know, we talked about this a lot in the preseason. The word hopeful is usually pretty bad. So I have a slight lean that Giddey misses, but we have him in projections. So we'll see what happens there. Lonzo, late illness tag, probably missing, right? So that explains the EJ Liddell call up. We saw this last 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, when Vooch was listed as questionable with an illness, and then they upgraded Sanogo. So you would think that kind of by the same logic, that Liddell call up is because of Lonzo probably missing. And then Craig doesn't really matter. Patrick Williams is on a 20 to 24 minutes limit. Now without Giannis, maybe they don't need him as much. So if Giddey's in, his minutes are actually a little bit safer. And actually, I would say with Giannis, we actually cut Giddey's minutes down because of that. So actually, if anyone's listening on the minutes team right now, I would actually move Giddey back up a minute there. So so expecting the same starting lineup. If Giddey can go, I think Patrick Williams starts, Io to the bench, and then keep Patrick Williams in the first unit, and then the bench unit. Matas Brzellus, Tellen Horton-Tucker won't go away. They got some good minutes out of Phillips. And then one last note, as I mentioned on the Boston stuff, they were getting destroyed on the boards. And for the first time this season, Billy Donovan went with Jalen Smith and Vooch as a double big lineup, which we were waiting for. I was waiting for this to happen for a while, and he did break it loose. We saw this happen a little bit last year. Billy Donovan really leaned into the Drummond and Vooch lineup last year down the stretch. So, the Sticks gang, definitely keep an eye on that. And obviously, teams with struggling centers are probably more inclined to trade for Vooch now. So if you're playing season long and you want to play the long game, we saw what Sticks did last time. He got a double 5 blocks. So if you want to play the trade game stash, I think Jalen Smith is one of the best ones to get.
Nice. All right, let's go to Oklahoma City, where the Thunder are massive 18-point favorites here as they host the Washington Wizards. The Wizards will be without Kyle Kuzma with a rib strain. Not sure I've seen a rib strain before. Guessing that's more of oblique going on for him. And then Sadiq Bey remains out with the ACL. Bilal Coulibaly is questionable with right groin soreness. So If he's out, it could be pretty thin on ball handlers here
Mm.
for the Wizards, and could go a lot to Jordan Poole and Malcolm Brogdon here. But anything you want to hit on here for the Wizards tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Kuzma wasn't on the bench a couple games ago, and Brian Keefe said he was sick. So, hey, trade people, alert, alert, alert. And then also reports that his price is coming down. So, yeah, obviously starting lineup questions are unclear. Bilal Coulibaly was fine, had a career high 12 rebounds in this game, looked pretty good. Really was one of the main reasons why this game was somewhat close. So yeah, if he didn't play, A, that's really bad. And B, I mean, I guess they would start Keyshawn George for the wing size because you need at least a little bit of wing size. I think you couldn't start Bub. They really like Corey Kispert off the bench there, but it seems like, and they could just go big. I don't think that makes any sense against the Thunder. So again, not a serious injury for Bilal Coulibaly, no history, anything like that. Again, played full, didn't see anything there. I watched this game a little bit. So yeah, they would start probably the same, and then if he's out, as I mentioned, Keyshawn George would probably get the start. Should note too, Brogdon did start, played pretty poorly after coming off the bench in his first game returning from injury, so probably starting again with Bub Carrington off the bench. And then lastly, how the hell does this team score 100? The worst offense in the NBA against a team that switches like crazy and is vulnerable to shooting and like rebounding, and like this team can't do either of them. So I took Wizards under 103.5 points, and I feel pretty good about it if you want to get some Wizards hatred. And you don't want to bet into an 18-point spread. So I think that's the best way to do it is bet Wizards under 103.5.
Awesome. Love that lean. And yeah, I think this is the biggest spread we've seen all season with the Thunder
I think so.
as 18-point favorites. On the Thunder side, just Chet Holmgren listed out, and then Nikola Topic out as well. They do have a few G Leaguers as well. But anything you want to hit on the Thunder, or should we move along on this massive slate?
No, we got to hit the Thunder because Jalen Williams is back, baby.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
He is off the injury report. He will be available today. Went through shoot around. Expect him to play and get most of, if not all of, the Isaiah Hartenstein minutes, which is he's been great. One of the best league leaders at taking charges. So his return should cut into AJ Mitchell. They may play a little bit bigger there. Kenrich Williams a little bit more vulnerable for sure. Perhaps the most vulnerable would be Kenrich Williams. Caruso probably not playing as much. We saw the Caruso center minutes really come into there. Caruso got paid now. You saw the 4-year, $81 million extension over the weekend. And then, Kayson's minutes a little bit ceiling coming off. Isaiah Joe, all just getting kind of like pulled back from a ceiling perspective. But expect J. Will to play. And then, they're rested. We saw that brutal schedule. The Tuesday, losing in the NBA Cup, flying out Wednesday morning, 10 a.m., and then the Florida double dip, won them both. And then, they're in a really good spot here, well rested, and I think they're going to slaughter them. Like I think they're going to win by like 30.
Gotta love having Jalen back with J Dub as well. One of the league's favorite duos there in OKC. Apologize to Jalen for skipping over there. Thanks for catching me on that one. All right, let's head to Dallas though, where the Mavericks will play host to the Portland Trailblazers. Mavericks are 11-point favorites here. On the Blazers side, Matisse Thybulle remains out with that right ankle sprain, and then they're without Bryce McGowan, Justin Minaya, and Taze Moore with G League tags. Delano Banton and Robert Williams, the Time Lord, are both questionable tonight. Robert Williams was a later add with a left ankle sprain, and we know his injury history, so not great for him to get listed here. What's your lean on Time Lord tonight, and then any lean on Delano Banton as well with that right hip contusion?
Yeah, Banton's been like close to playing. They called him game time last time for the contusion, so I feel pretty good he's in here. Time Lord, as you noted, like Time Lord with a late Q tag, like he's not playing. We won't have him in projections, but I feel pretty good he's not going to play. That'll open up a little bit more for Klingon. They've been playing him as like a 4. They ran this like last week. They ran this wacky Scoot, Ant, Denny Abdia, Klingon, and Time Lord. So like 2 point guards, a Denny and 2 centers. Really weird lineup there. So other than that, not too much. Banton's return would cut into Denny a little bit, cut into Anthony Simons a little bit, and then Scoot a little bit more as well. The overlap wouldn't be as strong, but they might just not play Banton that much. Obviously, not too tied to him. So expecting Time Lord to miss, and then Ayton's minutes have been pretty good. Blowout here, but he's been routinely hitting mid-30s. Obviously, blowout here, a pretty big concern. As the Mavs are playing freaking great. Mavs defense has been really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's head over to that Mavs side where Dante Exum, Jaden Hardy, and Brandon Williams will be out for tonight. Luka Doncic listed questionable with that left heel contusion. Again, they are big, double-digit home favorites here and play on Christmas Day. So, maybe Luka takes it easy to rest up for Christmas. Do you have any lean on him? They play the Wolves at home on Wednesday. So, a big Western Conference matchup there and pretty big favorites here. So in my mind, maybe they give him another day to rest. But what do you think on Luka and then any other Mavs notes?
Yeah, definitely a chance he misses. Don't have a great read. They might just sit him out one more. They're huge favorites. Obviously, I talk about the left leg from Luka. Say that 5 times fast all the time. He has a lot of injuries to that left leg, so this is just kind of a wear and tear kind of a thing. So I think he might play, but again, they might just hold him out. Who do they play on Christmas? They play
the
Minnesota.
Wolves.
So yeah, that'll. I think they might just sit him out, and then that should get. I'm not as convinced that. So I was pretty confident. Asked the minutes team that I thought Spencer Dinwiddie was going to start because Ty Lue loves to pressure ball handlers, and you want a little secondary outlet, which is why I thought Spencer Dinwiddie started in the last game. So not as confident here, especially when Quentin Grimes went ham in the second half. Goes for 20 on 7 of 8 shooting with 3 threes. Was really good. So not as I still think Spencer starts because it worked and it was successful. And as bad as the Blazers are at times, especially lately, I still would lean Spencer would start. Obviously, their minutes would be pretty even if Luka played. Them meaning Quentin Grimes and Spencer. But yeah, blowout risk for sure. Lively's playing great. Clay also. Clay had a pretty good game. He's been playing better defensively, in my opinion. And then hitting some shots. Obviously, 4 steals in the last game was pretty nice too. So, yeah, Mavs kind of all is right in the world. One of the few Western Conference teams that you should feel pretty good about.
Pretty wild to see a 6 for 25 game there from Kyrie Irving.
Yeah,
consistently one of the most efficient players in the NBA. So tough night for him. Maybe bounce back spot tonight against the Blazers. All right, let's head to Golden.
Shout out Chris Dunn.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's head to Golden State where the Warriors will play host to the Indiana Pacers. Warriors 5.5 point home favorites here. The Pacers have not submitted here on the second night of a back-to-back, but their injury report was relatively clean yesterday. Listed out as Isaiah Jackson and James Wiseman with those Achilles tears. Aaron Nesmith remains out with that left ankle sprain, and then Quentin Jackson, Enrique Freeman, and Tristan Newton were all out with G League tags. Ben Shepherd was listed available with that left oblique strain. Any concern on him potentially being available on the second night of a back-to-back, and any other notes here on the Pacers?
Yeah, closing out some windows so my computer doesn't freeze. So the big note that is here is Andrew Nembhard only played 19 minutes. That was because of the back-to-back. According to Rick Carlisle, those minutes went straight to TJ McConnell. So expect that to be a factor. I think that they want to try to play him more. We've seen Nembhard guard Steph. Would expect that to be the case here. So expecting Nembhard, I think he's going to play. I don't know if he's played back-to-back shit. I'll have to check that really quick. Or you could do it while I'm talking. So he's going to be limited, right? Like they're clearly aware of his minutes. They would have played him more if not for the back-to-back set there. So expect him to start, but wouldn't be shocked to sit him out. I think Shepard's going to play. Was great in this game. 5 for 5. Had some good defensive plays as well. So, other than that, Halliburton's been playing really well. He'll have a tougher matchup. Probably see Andrew Wiggins. And then, Siakam's been playing pretty well overall. And then should mention, too, the Blazers' defense has been really, really good. Really, 4 games straight now, their defense has been elite out of nowhere. And Rick Carlisle mentioned it because they're practicing so much. So don't know if we could buy that. It's pretty interesting. If you remember last year, around this time of year, the Pacers made that big lineup change where they started Jalen Smith at the 4. Wow, 2 Jalen Smith at the 4 references and twice in one show today. And it really changed around their defense. So I don't know, just credit to the Pacers. They kind of are righting the ship and they're playing slow. Their transition game is not there. That's that would have been a concern against the Warriors who are good taking that away. But they are back-to-back. Not a lot of travel, right? You're going from Sacramento to San Francisco. So I think the Pacers could hang around. I really like how they're playing.
It does look like the last time Nembhard had the option to play a back-to-back, he sat. So that was on December 3rd. He played 18 minutes and 51 seconds, sat on December 4th. And last night he played 18 minutes and 50 seconds. So, yeah, definitely something to watch out for tonight. Maybe he does sit again, but he had played 6 consecutive games before or including last night. So maybe he's healthier and was just held in check, so he can play, maybe like low 20s minutes tonight. But if he does suit up, I would imagine there's a pretty decent cap on him for sure.
Yeah, and I'll say they're planning to play him, right? Like if they knew they were sitting him out, they would have played him normal minutes.
Yeah, and Carlisle addressing that makes me think that he's likely to suit up tonight and just have more of a limit on him. All right, let's head over to the Warriors side. Big questionable tag here with Draymond Green and that left leg inflammation, and then Moses Moody also questionable here with that left knee patellar tendinopathy. We saw Kyle Anderson and Trayce Jackson-Davis start the last game for the Warriors. If Draymond is out tonight, do you think they would go with that again, or is Steve Kerr going to be up to his shenanigans once again tonight?
I mean, we got a lot to talk about here, Dank. We got a lot to talk about. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Jonathan Kuminga? I think we got to start with Jonathan Kuminga.
Sure.
So for those of you who are like really into the NBA, you might have been following the Jonathan Kuminga tweets where he's got the peace sign and the Warrior stuff. Or I'm sorry, Instagram. I got my social mixed up. But the last 45 seconds of Steve Kerr's presser was laying into. He didn't say Kuminga by name. He said the young guys. And he said, we have Steph Curry on our team, and guys shouldn't be shooting contested 17-foot shots. Kuminga had some really bad shots in this game, had like a 10-foot floater that was like this far away from the rim, like even on a bank shot, it was like this far from the target. So there's that. There's the fact that he didn't start, and then there's the fact that Kerr said, hey, I want more rim pressure out of the first unit. He wants it to be Trayce Jackson-Davis. Like there are so many signs here that he's like really fed up with Jonathan Kuminga. So I don't think Kuminga is going to start here, even if Draymond doesn't play. Should note too that Kerr, as we change gears, straight up lying, man. There were tweets. I didn't see the exact quotes, but the ESPN beater another beat said that Steve Kerr said that Draymond is expected to play. That's not what he said after the game. He said that after the game, Steve Kerr on Draymond said, quote, we definitely weren't going to put him out there. Like he straight lied to us, man. So that was a tough scene. So again, not a serious injury, but they wanted to be careful with him. And then the quote, just to be clear, we've got to lean into Trayce was the quote on Steve Kerr with Trayce Jackson-Davis. So I think if Dre's in, he's starting for Kyle Anderson. I think Draymond doesn't like to play the center spot when he's injured. So I feel pretty good Schroeder's going to start. Obviously, the commentary from Kerr saying that he likes the extra pressure that takes off of Steph, and it leads to a fresher Steph was the quotes that he had mentioned there. So I feel pretty good that three starters are locked. I almost feel 4 are locked. Yeah. Obviously, Curry, Dennis, Wiggins. I think Trayce is pretty close to locked, and then Dre, if he's in, I think is pretty close to locked. And then I still think Kyle Anderson will probably play. But yeah, not as confident there. Buddy's minutes have been really cut down as Schroeder's affected him. Pods had a really good game. Had a really sweet offensive tip that almost propelled him it did propel him to the win, but it was a big reason why. So yeah, it's getting a bit of a squeeze here. We did see Lindy Waters go away. Moses Moody could be back today. He's also questionable. We'll see if that affects somebody. They might just keep him out. But this team's really inconsistent. We saw them get absolutely destroyed by the Grizzlies, and then really nice bounce back game. They were up pretty big early and almost let it slip away in the third quarter.
And this is another team that has a Christmas game, so maybe if Draymond Green isn't feeling ready to go tonight, they just give him another day off, and they do play host to the Lakers on Christmas Day. So obviously that's a much more high profile game than the Pacers on a Monday night in December. So maybe we do get another day of rest there for Draymond. But yeah, I agree with you that the 3 locks there were Steph, Schroeder, and Wiggins. And if you think Trayce is locked into the starting lineup as well, that helps ease things up a bit too. So appreciate you reading through all the tea leaves there and taking us through all the drama, which there consistently seems to be in this Warriors team. All right, let's head to Denver, where the Nuggets will play host to the Phoenix Suns. The Nuggets are 4.5-point home favorites here, which is pretty interesting on the second night of a back-to-back. And they're coming from New Orleans as well. So kind of a tough travel night for the Nuggets before they play on Christmas Day as well, with Nikola Jokic, obviously, one of the focal points of the league. But let's start on the Sun side here, where Grayson Allen and Devin Booker are listed out. Bol is also out. No potential revenge for him tonight in Denver. And then Colin Gillespie and Ty Washington out with G League tags. So Booker, obviously the big one here. And we know Grayson Allen would fill into, a pretty sizable role if he were active, but he is also out. So what's going on here with the Suns, and how do you expect their rotation to look tonight in Denver?
Yeah, I expect Grayson to miss probably a couple more, so probably out for Christmas. Concussion, looked pretty bad. Got elbowed in the head. Who else? Simone Fontecchio, that's who it was. Elbowed him in the head. Was really groggy. You could see him kind of like staggering. He's got a concussion, so he's probably out for Christmas. Devin Booker. We talked about Vita Zubats being a little bit early. Devin Booker had a groin strain 2 years ago, right at this almost exact time, and he missed the game before Christmas. And I remember this. I thought he was going to miss Christmas, but he played. So I think he's going to miss, right? You're calling him out for this game well in advance. Aggravation of an injury. He's had this injury a couple times in his career. So I think Booker could miss Christmas. Man, that's going to be tough for us to do projections before we get the injury report. Thinking ahead there. So a lot going on here. One, I felt pretty strongly Royce O'Neal was going to start for Cade because Cade's such a big guard. So I think they still start the same way, but man, they've been playing so poorly right now. They've been one of the worst teams in the NBA after that red hot start. So I think they go the same way, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Dunn, who I thought played pretty well off the bench, had a quick first quarter rotation and then didn't sub until like really late in the second quarter. And then you need Jamal Murray, you need to cover Jamal Murray, right? So that's more of a Ryan Dunn thing than it is a Royce O'Neal thing to me. So I don't know, just a note there. And obviously you need to fill minutes, right? You've got no Grayson Allen. You're getting really thin at guard. And you can't play Monty Morris and Tyus together. That's way too small against the big Nuggets. So there's just a lot of guard minutes that need to be handled here. Bradley Beal's been really bad defensively. So I think Ryan Dunn could creep up and get some minutes. I think Josh Okogie's going to be in the rotation. Obviously Royce O'Neal played 34 last game, probably playing 30 again. Kevin Durant has to play a ton. 43 points, yes, but 8 turnovers, a couple of really costly ones in the fourth quarter. Not his best game, despite the 43 points there. But and then also, God, Nurk, dude. Nurk, we love it. Like we had a Jalen Duren over that cashed so quick, but bro, like that was really bad. That was like one of the worst Nurk games I've seen in a long time defensively. So now he gets Joker. Like I don't know, dude. This is like red alert. Suns need to make a trade. Oh my God! Like, where's Jonas Valanciunas? Can we trade with the Blazers again and get another center that they want to get rid of? But yeah, the Suns are down pretty bad, man. They kind of need this game, and they should be crossing their fingers that the Nuggets are going to sit guys out.
It'll be interesting to see how this game is played too, because this is the same matchup we'll see on Christmas night, just flipping home courts here as Denver will be traveling to Phoenix on the late game for Christmas. So yeah, certainly something to watch tonight and see how the Suns play it without Booker, because as you mentioned, him being listed out this early might be a bad indication for that Christmas night game as well. We did get the Nuggets to file here on the other side, which is nice. Flacco Conchar and Deron Holmes remain out. They're pretty much out for rest of the season. Dario Saric probable here, but he did not play after being available last night in New Orleans. Jamal Murray is questionable here with a right ankle sprain. So we've seen Jamal listed with lots of different things this season. Most recently, I believe a right hamstring inflammation. So not great that he has an ankle sprain on that same right leg. Any lean here on Jamal Murray? And then also we saw Michael Porter Jr.'s minutes get cut way down last night. How do you think that, how do you think they're approaching that situation heading into tonight's game?
Yeah, I was going to say that spread has come down since I looked this morning, and there's your reason. Jamal Murray with the Q tag. He's probably sitting right. Like he played 41 minutes. He played pretty well last time. So I don't know. I think he's going to sit, and then obviously, who's going to start? I mean, it's Russell Westbrook. It's 2 games ago, Russell Westbrook cuts in the Christian Brown, who returned from a back injury. And then last game, it's like the Grim Reaper meme with the doors, right? Like, all right, he's took out Christian Brown. Now he's taking out Michael Porter Jr.'s minutes. Maybe it'll be Jamal soon. MPJ lost a ton of minutes, and it was the right call, man. They were down again. This team just loves trailing in the third and then coming back in the fourth. It's like every night. They've done it for years now. And they should have lost this game again, but Joker too good, took over late in the game, triple-double, yada, yada. So, yeah, I think Jamal's going to sit. That should put, and then as you noted, Aaron Gordon not listed. That's a good sign there. Gordon really good in the last game, by the way. So I think Jamal sits. We'll have him in projections, but I think it'd be Westbrook, Christian Brown, MPJ, Gordon, Jokic, Julian Strawther. Great game. He is the plus minus guy scapegoat, right? He's like the worst in like every plus minus stat, plus 20. And then after the game, Mike Malone, and he was eating into MPJ's minutes. He was playing late in the fourth, and then was going hot and was trying on defense, according to Michael Malone. So he would get more minutes. Hunter Tyson would come into the rotation as well, and then Darius Saric might come in here as well to get some minutes. Should mention Peyton Watson also played pretty well. Had a really sick weak side block last night while they were making this run. And then also got to shout out Michael Malone. Sorry,
Yeah,
I could call him Mike because I'm a fellow Mike. So 2 games ago, right, he made a mistake. He didn't put in Christian Brown or Peyton Watson to guard Anthony Simons. And then you guys have all seen the highlights. Anthony Simons goes right by Westbrook. No help from MPJ pinching in, which could have punished him, by the way. And then he hits that buzzer beater to beat them. This time now, big defensive stops. He puts in and calls a timeout to put them in. I should actually, one more note too. Russell Westbrook called a timeout with 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That was their last timeout of the whole. So they had no timeouts in the last 11 minutes of fourth. Crazy. But yeah, as I was saying, Christian Brown and Peyton Watson were subbed in more for defense. So Michael Malone really corrected his mistake. Shout out to Malone. Despite losing all these third quarters, second quarters, and first quarters, the guy can coach his ass off.
Yeah, and regardless of Jamal Murray's status, I feel like we're really good at predicting leans on this injury show over the years. And Jamal Murray, one of the toughest guys, I think, for us to pin down when he pops up questionable. So it'll be interesting to see whether he suits up tonight. But I do think, regardless, that we could probably see this Nuggets rotation loosened a little bit just on the second night of a back-to-back after OT, travel. Saric is available. They have Hunter Tyson, guys like that, maybe pick up, 4 to 6 minutes tonight just to get these guys down. And Christian Brown, not listed on the injury report, but a recent return from a lower back strain, and then plays 39 minutes. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Michael Malone lengthen this a little bit here for the Nuggets, as again, they have that Christmas Day game as well against the Suns. All right, let's head to our last game of the night, Mike. We made it. The Detroit Pistons at Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers are 6-point home favorites here. The Pistons will be without Isaiah Stewart and then have 4 G Leaguers listed out here. Isaiah Stewart out with that left knee hyperextension. So what have we seen from the Pistons without Isaiah Stewart? And then do you expect any changes tonight in LA with that rotation?
Well, we've been seeing the Pistons play really well, man. Dink had mentioned in our chat that if he was considering betting the Pistons plus 400 to make the playoffs, I'm like, I kind of like it. They've been, pretty good defense relative to what we're used to. And Cade is just on one, man. Cade just dagger shot against the Suns. He's had like 3 or 4 like dagger shots or like dagger passes that led to daggers, if that's a thing. But yeah, we think we know what we're getting. The starting lineup should be the same. They're relentless on keeping Tim Hardaway Jr. in the first unit. Jaden Ivey did return from that knee injury that cost him some time. Looked pretty good, 28-8. Had a really sick pass to Jalen Duren as well. Shout out Nurk for the defense or not defense there. But yeah, and the other note too was on Saturday we were really trying to figure out like who's in the lead of Asar Thompson, Ron Holland, and Simone Fontecchio. It turns out no one.
Yeah.
You would think Asar eventually like wins out. He's had some really nice defensive possessions. His highlight machine. Obviously, the draft capital is tied to him as it is with Ron Holland. But I think Asar is a better prospect than Ron Holland is. We'll see. But anyways, tough to kind of obviously you're not playing that for DFS, but down the line when guys miss time, you kind of want to know that Asar could separate, which he did. The game that Tobias missed, he did separate a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Malik Beasley also just locked and loaded. He is, he's not going to win 6-man, but he is, one of the most important 6 men in the NBA.
Yeah, he has a crazy usage rate coming off the bench for them this season, just absolutely getting shots up at every opportunity. All right, let's head over to the Lakers side. Listed out Jackson Hayes, the right ankle sprain, Jalen Hood-Schifino, left hamstring strain, and then Jared Vanderbilt and Christian Wood remain out here. So again, a thin front court here for the Lakers. Listed questionable is Anthony Davis with the left shoulder contusion, and then LeBron James with that left foot injury management. So, we pretty much know the deal with the Lakers at this point, Anthony Davis and LeBron James being questionable almost every game. Do you think tonight is any different considering they play on Christmas Day? This is also, the last game of the night. So kind of tricky for us to approach, but what's your read here on AD and LeBron tonight?
Yeah, AD's injury is somewhat legit. Like, was pretty unaffected by it. Had a really good game. He's taking it to Sabonis now. Back-to-back games. Sabonis had owned him before last week started. So I think he's in. I have a little bit more concern on him than LeBron relative to injury, but this might be a spot where they just sit LeBron out. I think we're going to get this Q tag a lot. The Lakers have been upgrading LeBron in the middle of the day, with a probable tag. So something to keep an eye on there. Maybe if we do, obviously if we get the probable tag, that's great. So just something, if you don't get that probable tag upgrade and he stays questionable, that's something I would not ignore, because again, they've been nice at telegraphing when they're going to play LeBron, just to cover that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, D'Lo, really good off the bench, 20 points. And then also kind of like low key, Austin Reeves was pretty good in this game, guarded De'Aaron Fox like somewhat well. And then the Lakers have been all over the place, man. Their offense has been 28th in December. Look, they're Wizards bad on offense, but their defense has been great. Their defense has been 99.6 per 100 over their last 5. That is ranked second in the NBA. So they're playing great. JJ Redick's like, I trust their offense, but they got to win with defense. He's basically saying like they have to win with defense. And AD's should note, AD, we talked about this last week. AD not having that, NBA Cup time to rest up, looks like a different player again, right? The guy that was going to threaten for Defensive Player of the Year. He's kind of back there now. Lakers have got things mostly fixed. Should also note, I talked about this with the Suns. I don't know if you want to put Austin Reeves on Cade, man. Cade is just too good right now. So Max Christie's minutes were cut a little bit, much to my surprise. But you need a bigger defender here, man. Like, I don't think you're going to be able to get cute with this Gabe Vincent, Austin Reeves stuff. Like, I think you need Max Christie to go out there and guard Cade. If you could keep Cade in check, and Max Christie's been really good. Not surprising, their defense has gone up since Max Christie has been back in the lineup. So I think Max Christie, who you're not playing for DFS, but Max Christie's minutes cutting into D'Lo, cutting into perhaps Austin a little bit. Just something to kind of be aware of, because I think the matchup calls for it.
Awesome. Well, Mike, I believe we've said it all. In fact, we may have said too much here. I mean, went through 28 teams on the injury report. Absolute slog. Appreciate you being here with me. But that will do it for this edition of the Established Run NBA Injury Analysis Show. As always, we ask for your support in promoting this free content by liking the video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. I mean, my goodness, we went on for an hour and 15 about one day's game. So please reward us with a like and subscribe. It really does mean a lot to us at ETR and helps us continue to promote this free content for you guys. If you have interest in getting access to our behind the paywall content, you're going to do establishedrun.com/subscribe-NBA. We've got a lot of good stuff going for you there. And as the NBA schedule heats up, we will continue to grind and be on the projections and everything for you guys. So again, really do appreciate all the support out there. Happy holidays to everyone. Fun show as always with you, Mike. Appreciate it. And hope everyone has great holidays and enjoys the basketball out there. We will see you next time. Peace.